What is up, YouTube? It's Brandon from Tattooing 101, and I have a new machine to try out. Easy Tattoo Supply sent me the P3 Pro for me to test out for them and to give my honest review on the product. So that's what I'm going to go with today. I'm going to do an unboxing for you guys and be able to go through this machine as efficiently as possible so you guys understand what you're getting into before buying a machine. I really like trying out new products. I feel like it's definitely beneficial for you guys to kind of understand before just throwing the money into something that you really don't know anything about. So I'm going to go through this machine from unboxing to actually using it on an actual tattoo. So now let's get into the P3 Pro by Easy Tattoo Supply. So let's get into unboxing this machine. So Easy Tattoo Supplies comes usually always in this green box, so it's very easy to kind of understand where it's coming from. Recharging time is about 2 hours. Approximate working time is 4.5 hours. So this is going to be a little bit of a problem for me, just because the working time, I like to, most of the tattoos I do run about 7 hours. So I definitely need a little bit more working time for bigger tattoos. But if you're just working on fake skin, just trying to, understand if this is something for you, then obviously this really doesn't affect you too much. You could just stop. But if you're working on clients, that might be a little hard. So it is adjustable stroke, which means you could go from 2, 2.4, 2.8, 3.3, 3.7, and 4.2. With this machine, I'll probably be using it on 4.2. That's what my bishops use. So I'll be using it on 4.2 for line work, things like that. I'll probably turn it down for shading and see how it works. So you can see here, it has this nice, really red and black aesthetic, which I really like. Has some little notches right here for gripping, which could definitely be beneficial for holding the machine. I'd still wrap this with sports wrap just because it is very shiny and it might slip in your hand, stuff like that, which I don't like to have to deal with when I'm tattooing. So you can see here that these are the buttons to turn on the machine. Just hold that side button right like that, and it will turn on. So it currently has 96% battery, so you could open this up and get straight to tattooing. We'll turn it on by just hitting that button again, the power button. Top button increases the voltage, bottom button decreases the voltage. Very simple. To change the stroke, all you have to do is turn this section right here and hold on to the bottom section. So it's going to click very nicely so you understand the stroke that you're in. It's a little hard to change, which is good because you don't want this rotating during your tattoo process. You want it to stick on the one. So I'm going to set it to 4.2. That's what I'm most efficient at when it comes to lining. I like to have a little bit of extra power so I don't have to worry about my liners not penetrating the skin. And it has that nice little charging port on top, which is the USB-C charging, which I feel like everyone has about 60,000 of those laying around at this point. And to get the battery off, all you have to do is not unscrew it. That didn't work. It should just pull off. A little bit hard to pull off. Wasn't expecting it to be that hard, but you don't want this wiggling around during the tattoo process, so that is good. And to put it back in, just clicks in right like that. Now let's see what else we have in the box. We have a charger and a charging cord, which I'm gonna keep these in here. Okay, so with this machine, you could pick this up for about $250. Before going into actually tattooing with it and seeing how it works, I wanna have a very good understanding of how much this costs so you guys could try to put it in your budget if it's worth the price. They also do come in a couple different colors. There's the red, the black, white, and gray. You could also buy them with an extra battery pack. But with the extra battery pack, it's gonna run about $320. And you could also get them matte or gloss. I like gloss for a tattoo machine because matte seems to fade over time. Gloss seems to just hold up very well with tattooing. A couple of the advantages that they say about this machine is that it has low vibration, so it shouldn't vibrate in your hand too much, which will be nice for longer tattoos. It also has the Bluetooth compatibility, so you could have your Bluetooth wireless foot pedal. If you do use foot pedals, I don't seem to like them. I just like to be able to push a button, turn it off that way. Instead of using a foot pedal, they just kind of get annoying to me. And it also has a built-in timer, which is really cool. So you could time your tattoos and understand exactly how long the tattoo process took in order for doing pricing, things like that, if you're doing an hourly rate. And I did check out some of the reviews on their website, and they had really good reviews. So I was really excited to try this one out for you guys and be able to openly express my feelings about this machine. So after going through it, let's get into actually tattooing with it so I could let you guys know if it's worth it. First thing I'm gonna do is get some of this sports wrap right here and wrap up this bottom side. I don't want this sliding in my hand when I'm tattooing. And also, if you guys were tattooing, even on fake skins, just make sure you wrap it up. You don't want to get ink and everything all over your machine. And I don't believe that they have disposable grips for these. I did look it up online to see if they did. So this will be something for practicing on fake skins. You don't want to try to tattoo humans because there's just no way to wrap this up perfectly without blood and plasma getting up into the reservoir right here where your cartridge clicks in. And it could just be a mess. You don't want to get any backflow into this machine with blood, plasma. It just has issues with bloodborne pathogens, things like that. So, of course, for this price range, you know, this is going to be a machine to be able to tattoo on fake skins and test out if you want to do this for a living or if it's not really something that you enjoy. So I'm going to start out this machine at about 8 volts. That's right around where I use with other machines. So that's what we're going to start out with. For our lining, it is set to 4.2 stroke, and let's get into doing some tattoos with it. First off, we have the 11 round liner. I'm using Cheyenne cartridges right here. So to change the depth, as you can see here, all you have to do is rotate it. You want to make sure that you're not rotating this part or it'll change the stroke. So hold on to this bottom section and then twist it to set your depth. I like to hang my needles out a little bit, so I'm going to set it about right there. Get out my green glide and let's get into it. So first line with the P3 Pro. So first line, you could see that it's definitely light in some areas. So it's hitting less than, you know, what some of the other machines I would really be using does. So I'm going to turn it up in voltage to kind of match my hand speed. I was actually going pretty slow there too. Go into a longer line and see how it does at 9.5 volts. So upgrading it to 9.5, you can see the line works a lot better. So it's now kind of running on my hand speed. I really don't run 9.5 with any other machine, but just understand that it's going to be the motor. It just doesn't have that extra push to be able to do the thicker size liners. I'm sure with like a 3 round liner or something, this would be completely fine. I do see that I have to slow down my hand speed even more than I normally would with this machine. Even if it's on 9.5 volts, I'm still having to slow down my hand speed than what I'm like most used to. So that's just telling me that, you know, the motor just doesn't have that push needed. So I feel like this machine would be really good for shading, just because, you know, it's not going to have a really crazy motor in it to hit really hard. So you'll be able to do like really nice smooth shading with it, which we'll try out after going through with the line work. But if you're wanting to get into like really bold traditional style tattooing, this might be a little bit tricky to use if you're getting into that style. So just keep that in mind whenever you are looking for tattoo machines. The style you're getting into definitely does matter as well. I will say the feel of the machine, you know, it doesn't feel too bulky in your hand. I will say that it is a little bit thicker, so if you have like, you know, really tiny hands or something, it might be a little bit tricky to hold this machine because the grips are so thick. Then we'll get into shading. That's what I'm most excited about, because this machine should be able to do some really smooth shading. Line work, I'm really not impressed with how it's coming out to do with line work. You know, like this is an 11 round liner, so it is a bigger one on the spectrum, but I feel like it should be able to push this effortlessly, but it is having some trouble even with it being on 4.2 stroke. So with lining, really had to fight with this machine to get these lines in there. Slow down my hand speed, things like that. And it still isn't as consistent as, you know, another one of the machines that I've been using. Even Easy Tattoo Supply stuff, I was able to, you know, do line work without having to fight with it. So with this one specifically, you know, I had some issues with being able to do the lines how I normally would. I was using an 11 round liner, so that could be the problem, that it's just too big of a liner for the actual motor that's in the machine. So with this one specifically, you know, I am a little bit disappointed with the line work, but now I want to get into like shading and understand, because this would be a perfect, you know, if it's not able to do lining, it'll be a better for realism, stuff like that. So let's test out the shading and see how it is. So for this, going to turn down my voltage to obviously 8. Don't want to run it on 9.5. And I'm also going to turn my strokes down to, let's go with 3.3. So this should hit super soft. And it does. It's actually doing a sufficient job with the shading. So that's one good thing to know, that this machine, just like I said, you know, feeling it, I felt like it would just be better for shading because it does hit super soft. So keep that in mind before buying this machine. If you're getting into like wanting to do really thick line work, stuff like that, this probably isn't the machine for you. If you're wanting to get into, you know, smooth black and gray stuff like this, definitely a machine worth trying out. And every machine is different, you know, the way that they work, what they're for. That's why it's so important to, you know, watch reviews and kind of understand before jumping into a product. You know, I'm a big review guy. Anything I order off Amazon, I'm looking through the reviews for hours before buying it. So that's why I really enjoy doing these for you guys, so you could kind of understand before wasting money on something that's not necessarily made for your style. So now that I'm done with some line work and shading, I could really get into everything with this machine and give you an honest opinion of how I feel about it. So I used this machine for about 30 minutes. It's down to 82%. I'll say that with this machine, it's just not as exciting as the other ones that I've used with Easy Tattoo Supply. So with this one, you know, I've used the other machines, you know, I've used their cartridges and everything. I didn't really have an issue with line work, shading, anything like that, but with this machine I am. So that's one thing to think about whenever you are picking up a machine. They have plenty of other machines that I've done reviews on. And with this one, it just didn't work for me as how I tattoo. Now, everyone tattoos different. I'm sure, you know, other people could use this machine and, you know, if they have a slower hand speed, and really try to figure out how to run it and be able to do that. I'm not saying that, you know, it won't work for anyone by any means, but for the way that I tattoo, you know, I had to change a lot of things in order to make this work and for me to be able to tattoo with this. So with that being said, would it be worth someone first starting to pick this up? You know, for 250 bucks, it would be something to try out. Just definitely understand that you're going to have probably some issues with lining, things like that. You're not going to understand if it's something that it's the machine or you, so it's going to be really hard to kind of practice line work with this machine. Now, if you're wanting to get into realism, things like that, you could definitely do realism, you know, set it down at, you know, the 2.0 or like the 2.8, and then just work on slowly building up your shades. You know, you could really use any machine when it comes to something like that, as long as it hits soft. So this is a soft hitting machine. Doesn't hit as hard as the other ones. I like a hard hitting machine. That's how I've, you know, learned to tattoo. That's how I've been tattooing pretty much my whole career. So that's how I feel about the P3 Pro tattoo machine. You know, will I use this again? I will definitely pull it out on occasions to be able to, you know, do further up information on this machine. Just not my favorite from Easy Tattoo Supply. which is completely fine. Thank you guys so much for the support and have a wonderful day.